Welcome to Midnight Fear Stories. There is one question every girl asks herself at least once before getting married. Is this person really worth spending the rest of my life with? None of us is perfect, and every person has flaws, but what matters most is having good morals and being mentally stable. Otherwise, the decision to marry could cost her the rest of her life. Michael and Emma had known each other for only a short time, about 5 months, but their relationship developed quickly. Despite the large age difference between them, Emma was sometimes bothered by some of Michael's behavior. He was very reserved and controlling. He controlled the way she dressed, when she went out, and even objected to most of her friends, wanting her to stay away from them. Despite all of that, Michael always made up for it with his great love, care, and immense wealth that could make all of her dreams come true. Then, as soon as their 5th month together ended, Michael proposed to her. Emma didn't need time to think. She accepted immediately. Exactly 1 week later, Michael had planned everything for the wedding and decided it would take place at his mansion. He invited Emma to see the mansion, and the moment she saw it, she was amazed. It was enormous and incredibly luxurious. He showed her every room until they reached the largest one. He pointed to it and told her that it would be her room and that she would stay there until the wedding. He left her alone so she could rest and have some privacy. When Emma opened the wardrobe, she found a very old wedding dress. She was fascinated by it. It felt like she had discovered an ancient treasure. She touched it with her hands and realized how fine the fabric was. It had a unique design, just like the dresses worn by queens and princesses. It was obvious that it was extremely expensive. However, Emma quickly left it because Michael had never mentioned her wedding dress. She guessed that he was probably planning a surprise for her, or perhaps it had belonged to his mother, since it looked like it came from another era. Later that evening, after dinner, Emma couldn't find Michael anywhere inside the mansion. She called his phone, but before she could say anything, he said, "Don't stay up late. Try to sleep early because the wedding is tomorrow. If you don't get enough rest, you'll be exhausted." Then he hung up, leaving Emma confused and surprised. She hadn't expected the wedding to be the very next day. She wandered through the rooms, thinking and looking for her fiancé so she could talk to him. Eventually, she found him in the farthest room of the mansion. The door was slightly open, and through the gap she saw Michael standing in front of a large framed portrait of a beautiful woman, staring at it silently. Emma wondered who the woman was, but she didn't want to start an argument. She quietly walked away without Michael noticing her. Deep inside, she believed that by tomorrow she would become the lady of the mansion, and nothing could stop her. "I've missed you. I'll see you soon." That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She had a strange feeling that someone was watching her. Every time she opened her eyes and looked around, she found nothing. Suddenly, she felt something rough touching her, something as cold as ice. Terror filled her heart when she saw a horrifying woman whose face looked like a mummy. She was wearing a wedding dress. The woman began making terrifying, unnatural movements and screamed with horrifying cries. She was standing near the door, so Emma couldn't escape. Emma stepped backward, closed her eyes, and begged the woman not to hurt her. She covered her face with both hands while struggling to breathe. When everything suddenly became quiet, she slowly opened her eyes and found that the terrifying woman had disappeared. When Michael heard the screams, he rushed to Emma's room to check on her. Seeing her trembling in fear, he held her in his arms to calm her down. After a while, Emma gradually returned to normal. Then she asked him, "Who was that woman?" Michael insisted that there were no other women in the mansion besides her and told her it had only been a nightmare. He convinced her to go back to sleep. Once again, Michael left her alone. She kept looking around the room for nearly an hour before finally falling asleep. The next morning, she woke up to Michael calling her name. She opened her eyes and saw him standing beside the bed, holding the wedding dress. He told her that the dress had belonged to his family for generations and had been passed down from one generation to another. He said it would look beautiful on her. Emma was overjoyed that she would wear such an ancient dress and become part of Michael's wealthy family. But then, suddenly, her smile disappeared and fear filled her face when she remembered something. The woman who came into my room last night was wearing the exact same dress. Who is she, Michael? What happened to her? Please tell me who she is. Emma burst into tears and also told Michael about the portrait she had seen him staring at. It was obvious that the woman in the picture meant a great deal to him. Michael walked toward her and hugged her. Suddenly, Emma felt something prick her arm, and moments later she lost consciousness. When she woke up, she found herself tied to the bed. Beside her was the mummy she had seen the previous night. She was terrified. Bound tightly with ropes, she couldn't move. She cried helplessly, repeating over and over, "Get me out of here!" Michael stood beside her. He leaned closer and said, "Don't be afraid. You have to help me bring my wife back to life. Believe me, I'll never forget this favor." He walked toward the mummy and whispered, "I'll see you soon, very soon." Michael picked up a knife. He smiled while Emma screamed and begged him to let her go, but he couldn't hear her. His entire focus was on his goal. He stabbed Emma, then took the blood-covered knife and let 3 drops of her blood fall on the corpse of his dead wife. Emma's body began shaking violently. The veins beneath her skin slowly turned black. She screamed as if she were suffering unbearable pain, but Michael held her tightly, as though he had done this many times. A few minutes later, the blood on the corpse dried. The woman opened her eyes, but she was no longer Emma. The spirit of Michael's dead wife had entered Emma's body. Only then did Michael finally feel that he had succeeded. Finally, you're back with me. But what Michael didn't know was that everything comes with a price. By transferring his wife's soul into Emma's body, he had also transferred Emma's soul into the mummy.